G'day viewers and welcome to another OnsideSa Soccer Show. Joining me shortly will be our UK correspondent Stevie Brom in our Fulham studios, but we kick off as always with our last one standing soccer competition. Going into week 11 we had two entries left, namely Clint Heap and Sean Phillips. Unfortunately both were on Burnley to beat Fulham. They both knew that Fulham had a COVID problem, so rather than take a chance and go with Crystal Palace or one of the other teams, they both decided to go with Fulham. There's no games this weekend, my apologies, so we return on the 15th for another round. I've been asked by several people when our final last one standing competition for the season will be. It will start at the end of January on the 30th. I will forward everybody the weeks because the second week does have a complete set of fixtures. So we will eliminate that round, but I will let everybody know. But it's the 30th of January. We are now going to be joined by our UK man, Stevie Brom, in the Fulham studios. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Budge.
Is it how's the weather looking there? Warmed up yet?
Freezing. Absolutely freezing here.
Yeah,
it's fine. We had some snow, but it hasn't settled much.
Snow, crikey. I know when you mentioned last week Preston, my mother sent me photos. It was absolutely bucketing, full of snow in the driveway last week in Preston, so I can imagine how it is. Steve, the League Cup semi-finals, Spurs beat Brentford and Man City beat United. Is that the right final?
Yeah, I think so, on the balance of play of both games. Tottenham sort of did enough. They're probably thankful that there was VAR for the first round, that Brentford had their goal disallowed, but once Son scored, the second it was game over. And the same last night, City, in patches looked very good. United, had quite a bit of the ball, but they just really couldn't create enough clear-cut chances. So in the end, I think it's that the right teams went through. We're looking forward to the final, which, as you know, has been moved 2 months. So
it's in April, it's the end of April.
Made at the end of April.
Okay, well, let's hope Mourinho doesn't start finding excuses. Steve, it's FA Cup third round this weekend. We've obviously seen what's happening with Derby. What are the rules? Do teams have to play, or can they seek a postponement?
No, well, I think technically they could ask for a postponement, but the FA, the fourth round is scheduled to be played in 2 weeks' time. The FA have said they will not move any of those games, and therefore, if teams cannot fulfil the fixture before then, they will have to forfeit. So, Derby County, for example, their entire first-team squad are self-isolating. They said that they are, as things stand, they will take part, but they're actually going to play a mixture of under-23s and under-18s, probably. Yeah. So, I think because there is such fixture congestion, there really aren't spaces for teams to find another date to play. So I think it's you play at the weekend or you forfeit, pretty much.
Okay, that's keen to know. So, obviously we're going to have to keep an eye on the team sheets before having a bet, even though most of us have got our money on already. Steve, we kick off on Friday night with an absolute cracker, in my opinion. We've got Aston Villa, who've been impressive lately, against a Liverpool team who have struggled away from home. How do you see that going?
Well, look, you only have to go back to that game a couple of months ago when Villa hit 7. What we don't know yet, and if you look at past experience, Jurgen Klopp is likely to play a very weakened team. He did in the FA Cup previously, and if he does, then I fancy Villa. I think Villa, I think you'll find the Premier League teams will rest a lot of their players, especially if they've got games midweek.
Yeah.
But I just think Liverpool will rest more than Villa, and therefore I have a feeling Villa will win this.
Yeah, I agree. That was my best each way bet, or my best value bet, 24-10 Aston Villa. I thought they played great against United. They got beat 2-1. I like what I see. Jack Grealish is in great form. And I think if ever there's going to be an upset in this round, I think this could be it. Now, Wolves... Sorry, Steve?
I'd say, sadly, Jurgen Klopp doesn't seem to put as much importance on this competition.
Yeah.
And he's got history for not playing his strongest team. and obviously with injuries, I suspect he won't risk certain key players. But, I hope it's a good game. I mean, I hope it's not a mismatch in as much as that. So.
Yeah, well, they played on Monday. I know it was a quick turnaround, but the way their strikers are misfiring, I would play one or two of them anyway. Now, originally, I thought Wolves were absolute certainties to beat Crystal Palace, especially with the rumours coming out of Palace that they may rest a few players. But Wolves have been struggling of late, Steve. They've only won 1 of 7. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think, excuse me, I think you're right. I think Wolves themselves have been misfiring. They just can't seem to sort of get that run together. And then they're obviously missing Jimenez, without doubt. I mean, he really was a talisman up front the last couple of seasons. I still fancy Wolves to go through. I still think, Nuno will play a reasonably strong team. Yeah. If Palace rest some, obviously if they rest like the likes of Zaha, then they probably won't have enough up front. So I think, again, really depends on how the managers see this. But, Palace has got quite a few injuries, so I'm not sure he's going to risk too many. I fancy Wolves to go through.
Yeah, paper it does look. I suppose they won my each-way bet last week and they threw away a 3-1 advantage, so maybe I'm a little bit down, but I must agree with you. I think of the two teams, I think they should be the team that goes through. Another team that should cruise through are Everton. They've won a couple at home, even though they have lost to Man United and they were woeful against West Ham. Surely they've got to have too much for Rotherham?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Rotherham have had a lot of problems in recent weeks with COVID, players out. I think Everton will rest some, but I think that their squad will be far too strong. So I'd be very surprised if there isn't anything other than a comfortable home win there. Yeah,
Rotherham lost the last 7 away from home, and I think this is one of the managers that'll really have a go for it, Ancelotti, to try and win the cup. Now, the one team Sorry, Steve?
Opportunity for them.
Yeah.
There's definitely an opportunity for them, and I don't think he has to risk his key players to get through comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. Now, one team that I think haven't got an eye on this FA Cup is Norwich. They play a Coventry City side who Mark Robbins has reported, who scored all the goals to get United through when Alec Ferguson won his first cup. Yeah. I think he'll have a go. Has this got upset written all over it?
I think potentially. I mean, again, I think you're going to find teams at the top of the Championship probably will rest players because I think for Norwich it's more important that they go up. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they rest some. And that'll be a close game. Coventry, although they're sort of closer to the bottom than the top, they put in some decent performances recently. So I think that's going to be a close game. But I think, as you say, Coventry could upset them there.
Yeah, I think Mark Robbins will go for it. Whereas Daniel Farke at the Norwich, I think he's got bigger fish to fry. Yeah. On to our second page, we've got QPR against your boys Fulham. Now, what's happening? You caused a riot last week, your team, with COVID.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, we still have players self-isolating. So, this is an opportunity for QPR. It really depends if they decide to play their strongest side, because we certainly can't. I'd still like to think that whoever plays for us, we still should be strong enough to go through. But I think he's going to mix and match. I think he'll play quite a few of the sort of reserve-type players with some of the first-teamers who aren't self-isolating. Again, because we missed a couple of games, I don't think he wants players to be too rusty. So I'm hoping we'll put out a strongish side, and I think that we should just about get through. But QPR, as we know, at home, a little bit inconsistent, but they are stronger at home. So I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, QPR haven't won in 9. That's the only problem. I watched them draw at home 0-0 with Stoke. They were woeful. And obviously selling, was it Ease to Crystal Palace? I think that's...
he was their star player. And there is, they've got another couple of very good players, and they're under pressure maybe to release some funds and sell. So I'd be disappointed if we lost, unless they decide that they're not going to risk any of the key first-team players and play very much a reserve side. But again, I think that's, to a certain extent, circumstances. As we say, we've got players self-isolating, they're not going to be available.
Yeah, so I think your next game is Friday at Chelsea, so why not have a go?
Friday, yeah. No, exactly. It's Friday at home to Chelsea, so and obviously he's going to want to make sure we've got as many of our players back and fit for that. So I think he's got got one eye on that. But I think it's, again, it's the FA Cup. I'd like to think that he'll put out a strong team.
Yeah, play the players, the fringe players. They'll all be bursting to play, so why not play them? That would be my selection for Scott Parker. Now, another team that I've got my doubts about is Leicester City, until I realise they haven't got a game in midweek. Surely they should be too good for Stoke City.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I saw that. And I think that he might want to target a bit of a run. They've got a decent squad, Leicester, and I think even if they decide to rest one or two, I think the balance of the squad should still be too strong. So I fancy them to go through there.
Yeah, me too. Now, Arsenal face Newcastle United. I was reading that the Newcastle fans are going off their head about Steve Bruce's selection. They play Sheffield United on Tuesday. Surely he can't play his main players at the Emirates against Arsenal.
I don't think he will. I don't think he wants to risk too many, and therefore I think, although we know that Arsenal historically do rest players for cup games, I think Arsenal will be too strong. So I think it's unlikely Steve Bruce will play his strongest side, and therefore I think Arsenal will be too strong.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, one team that impressed me on Tuesday night was Brentford. I've got a bet that Watford would finish higher than them. I just don't see it the way I've watched Watford in the last couple of games. But I think Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager, is going to rest all his players. I thought they played well against Tottenham, showed their class. I think he's going to give this cup a miss. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that he'll certainly do that. He did in preview even in the Carabao Cup in earlier rounds. He rested some key players. So I think he'll do that, especially as they played midweek. And they're desperate to get back up, get up. So I think he'll rest players. I'm not sure what they'll do at Middlesbrough. Again, they've got aspirations to get into the playoffs. I think if Brentford rest majority of their first team, I think that could make it a much closer game.
Yeah, I just think Neil Warnock will have a go for it. They've won 4 of their last 5. They haven't got a midweek game, so why not have a go and play your best team? That's what.
Well, you'd think so, but you just depend on the sort of mindset of the manager. I mean, I would do. I mean, I think, as you say, they don't play in midweek. Players want, footballers want to play games. They don't want to just, sort of train and not play. So I think if Borough play a strong team and Brentford, as we suspect, will rest the majority of theirs, I think there could be an upset there.
All right, Steve, on to the next page. We've got Blackburn Rovers. Sorry, we've got Man United. My apologies, against Watford. United rebound, even though they will obviously rotate their team.
Well, I think they'll rotate. I mean, they have a game at Burnley on Tuesday night, United, which is obviously really important for them to put pressure on Liverpool. I think, though, he can rotate. He can bring in a few of the players who haven't played and certainly didn't play last night. But I think they'll still be too strong for Watford, because I suspect Watford might rest one or two as well. So I think whatever team United put out, they'll probably just be too strong.
Yeah, I agree. Troy Deeney, I watched them. They got beat by Cardiff. It was Swansea. Sorry, they scored early, but Swansea really played well, and I was really disappointed in Watford. Now, Bristol City, who have been a little bit woeful, they've lost 5 of the last 7. Can Portsmouth, who are 3rd in League One, upset them?
Well, I think again it's going to depend whether Portsmouth decide to put out their strongest team, bearing in mind that they're obviously pushing for promotion. I think if both of them rest players, then I think Bristol City will be too strong. So I think that's again that could go either way depending on who takes the competition more seriously.
Yeah.
So I think if they both put out the strongest teams, I think Bristol City at home would just be a little bit too strong.
Okay, as you say, got to wait for the team. I think that's the sad part about the FA Cup. Originally it was the top teams, now it's the championship teams that are playing their squad players, which is a little bit sad. Now, Leeds United, who have been a breath of fresh air, even though they can't defend, they travel to Crawley Town. I'm sure it'll be a bumpy pitch. 1-3 lead, Steve?
Yeah, I think Leeds, again, he'll probably rest a few, but whoever he puts out, I think will be too strong for Crawley. The pitch probably won't be great, as you say, and some of the Leeds players might not be used to playing on those sort of conditions, but I think they will be too strong. I mean, in the past, Leeds have been upset, in the FA Cup, but I just think he's got a stronger squad now, and I think he can afford to rest one or two, but I think the balance of the squad will be too strong to play.
Okay, now one team that's really struggling is Brighton. They travel to Newport County. This has all the making, surely, of an upset?
Well, I mean, Newport, we know, have got a really good record in recent years in the Cup.
Yeah.
It really isn't a very good pitch there. Rodney Parade, I think Brighton won't fancy going there. Having said that, they're slightly better away from home. He probably will rest a few players, but I think they might just be too strong. But that's one that is a potential upset, definitely.
Okay. Our final page, Steve, we head on, and we got it mixed up, is Blackburn Rovers hosting Doncaster. How do you see that?
I think Blackburn will be too strong. I think that whether they rest one or two, but I think they'll be too strong for Doncaster. So again, Doncaster should have a go.
Yeah.
They've got nothing to lose. It's worth their while. I think the sad thing is that in the past teams would put out strong teams. They'd want to get through. They want to then draw a big boy at home in the fourth round
and get the money.
Crowd. Obviously, there aren't crowds, so it loses something. So I think Blackburn, they score a lot of goals, and if he picks a strong team, they should be too strong.
All right. Now, my upset of the round is Blackpool at home to West Brom. Blackpool, even though they're 13th in League One, I've been to that ground, nice and tight. The pitch is a mud heap. I don't think West Brom, with all their flashy players, are going to enjoy it, Steve. How do you see it?
I think you're right, but and that was one I was looking at thinking that could be an upset, but I just wonder, Sam Allardyce has not been happy with what he's seen, and whether or not he might decide to put out a strong team and say, right, show me what you can do. They've lost a lot of games in a row, particularly at home. Obviously, they got that point at Liverpool, but apart from that, they've been pretty poor. I wonder whether he'll put out a strong team, and if he does, I think they'll just be a little bit too strong. I could be wrong. He might decide to rest all of his key players, in which case then I think there is the chance of an upset. But something tells me that he's going to want to put those players out there and say, right, let's show me what you can do, and if you don't do it, I won't pick you in the next game. Yeah,
it does make sense because, he's just taken over. Can you imagine if he gets knocked out by Blackpool after getting cemented by Arsenal at home? I agree. He's got to play. I wouldn't be taking 8 to 10. I fancy an upset, but I just don't think those players are up for the fight and what I've seen. Yeah. But their last two away games, they drew at Liverpool and Man City. So I wouldn't blame you for taking 8 to 10, but not to me. Now, one team that have to play their best team is Sheffield United. Surely they've got to change their luck and beat Bristol Rovers away from home.
Well, I think part of the issue is that, as you say, Sheffield United are playing Newcastle midweek. Yeah. And that's a huge game for them because, at this moment in time, they are really adrift and they've got to pick up points. Now, they've got a lot of injuries still. They're going to be without sort of close to half a dozen players anyway who are out injured. So I've just got this sneaking suspicion he can't risk playing a lot of his key players, especially if when they got such a big game on Tuesday during midweek. So I fancy him. Bristol Rovers having a good run at the moment. I think this is one. If Bristol Rovers play their strongest team and Chris Wilder is forced to rest some, I think that could be a potential upset.
Yeah, I just think, I totally agree with your assumption with Tuesday, but you can't go 17 league games with 2 draws and 15 defeats. You've got to play I believe you've got to have a go, try and build some confidence. Doesn't matter who you pick. I think they've got to beat Bristol Rovers. Could you imagine, Steve, sitting in a change room Tuesday night before Newcastle and you've been beaten by Bristol Rovers away from home? I don't think that'll sit too well.
I think again, that's going to depend. If he puts out a strong team and they lose, then absolutely, I think that would be, that would be disastrous for him. I don't think he's going to be judged on whether he beats Bristol Rovers or not. I think if he loses that Newcastle game, I think then he is. I mean, at the moment, he is odds-on favourite to be the next manager to go. And I think that Newcastle, to me, that the next couple of games for him are pivotal because if any of the other teams, pick up points,
then they're going to be adrift.
The they got the lowest amount of points at this stage of a season of any team in the history of the Premier League. So, and you can't see where points are coming from. And I think Newcastle at home is going to be one he targets.
Yeah, okay, I agree. Now, Burnley, our last game, Steve, who play Man United on Tuesday, host an MK Don side. Not going too badly, but I worry about this Burnley team, especially in the FA Cup. Sean Dyche in recent times has rotated his squad. Do you think he'll do the same here?
Yeah, I think he'll definitely do the same. I think that, especially with the United game coming up, he'll want to put out his strongest team against them. I think he's still got enough just about it. I mean, they haven't got a particularly strong squad. With one or two injuries, unless they can get these players back, he probably will have to mix and match and play a few squad players. But I think they will be too strong for MK Dons. But again, that could be, if he does sort of go the whole hog and sort of rest most of his key players, then that will be a close one. But I think the fact that it's at Turf Moor where they are strong, I think Burnley will just edge that.
Okay, Steve, pressure time again. I'd like your best bet and your best value bet, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think in normal circumstances, you look at some of these games and you think, that teams are nailed on to win. But I think with everything that's going on, with the rotation of players, I think it is harder. I'm going to go for Leicester City. I think that they've got a strong squad. They haven't got that many players out. I think even if they rest one or two, I think they'll be too strong for Stoke. My value bet, I'm actually going to go for Villa as well. I think Liverpool are going to rest quite a few players, just because he has done in the past. He might surprise me and put out a strong team, but I'm not sure he will. And I think Villa will put out a fairly strong team. So I fancy Villa to win that.
Yeah, well, let's hope great minds think alike, not fools never differ. Steve, thank you very much. Take care,
Pleasure.
And we'll speak to you next week. All the best.
Absolutely. Cheers, bud.
In midweek, we had PSL games, and I'll just read you the scores through. I watched the Morocco Swallows Cape Town City game. Must say, very impressed with Morocco Swallows. Player sent off, got to 3-1. They were hanging on at the death, and I can see why they're second in the league. A little bit disappointed for Cape Town City. They play good football. Just thought creativity-wise they were lacking. On to our weekend's fixtures, and we kick off on Friday with Stellenbosch against Black Leopards. For me, it has to be Stellenbosch. They won 2-0 in midweek. Very comfortable win, beating Shakuma Matsi. And 11-10, I think they'll be too good for a Black Leopards team who were in Durban in midweek, but saw their game postponed due to a waterlogged pitch at the Sugar Ray Kulu Stadium. For me, Friday night, I fancy Stellenbosch. Golden Arrows Chipper. Golden Arrows unbeaten in 8 league games. The only problem is they've drawn 6 of those games. I watched Chipper last night draw 2-2 with Supersport United in terrible conditions. I'm adding the draw in. As much as I don't see Golden Arrows getting beat, I think the draw is a large player as well. Supersport United scored 2 goals from set pieces and were cock-a-hoop when they're leading 2-1, but conceding late on, the coach went absolutely berserk on the sideline, and I think they'll rebound against a TS Galaxy team who've drawn 4 and lost 3 of their 7 league games. 8-10 is definitely in my play. Now, Kaizer Chiefs were successful in the Champions League when they won in Angola, so Gavin Hunt's team will be cock-a-hoop, but they face a Maritzburg United team whose manager, Ernst Biddendorf, was fired by Chiefs last season, so expect them to have them fired up. So it won't be a cakewalk for the Amakosi. On to the second page. Now, I've been having a look at the betting. I took the betting yesterday morning, and this was the price. But I've seen several other sites have Sundowns as big as 15-10. So just have a look before having a bet. Sundowns are the best team we got in the country by a long way. I watched them against Pirates, who are the better team. They've won 6 and drawn 3 of their last 9 league games, and they were successful in the CAF Champions League in midweek. I can't have Baraka. They've won 1 of their last 7, and I think this is a total mismatch. Whatever price you can get Sundowns, empty out. Shakuma Matsi, who came up, who bought a franchise, should I say, last season. They're 42-10. I can't have them against the Cape Town City side, who, while lacking a little bit of creativity, were good to watch. TTM, they've won 1, drawn 5, and lost 2 of their last 8 games. I think they'll take another pointer. I'm taking 11 at 10, both teams to score, but if I had to have an outright pick, it would definitely be the draw. Bloemfontein Celtic, who are expected to travel to Nigeria in midweek to play Rivers United, saw their game cancelled due to the COVID. They play an AmaZulu team who Benny McCarthy took over. The second game, they were impressive when they won at home. But playing in Bloemfontein, as everybody knows, is never easy. The draw at 2-1 is obviously a player, but of the two teams, I fancy Bloemfontein Celtic. The last one is the original Soweto derby between Orlando Pirates and Swallows. Pirates don't concede many, but I was really impressed with what I saw from Swallows in midweek against Cape Town City. I wouldn't be taking even money. Likewise, like most PSL games, the draw is a big player, but I like what I've seen from Swallows, and Swallows in the draw for me in that particular game. We head into our Soccer 6 Saturday exotics. Our first one, I'm going Golden Arrows, win and draw at home against Chippa United. I'm taking the draw with SuperSport United against TS Galaxy. I'm throwing the draw in with Kaizer Chiefs at home against Maritzburg United. I'm bankering Arsenal to beat Newcastle United. I think Sundowns will be too good for Baraka. And I'm going field in the Shikuma Madzi Cape Town City game, looking for an upset, 144. Our second one, I'm going the field in the Genoa-Bologna Serie A clash. I think Arsenal will be too good for Newcastle United. I'm bankering Barcelona, who won 3-2 last night against Athletic Bilbao to continue their fine recent run. I'm going the field in the RB Leipzig-Borussia Dortmund game. And I'm going the field as well, looking for the upset in the Brentford-Middlesbrough clash. And I have to banker Man United at home against Watford, 162. On to the Soccer 10. I'm going Golden Arrows, win and draw at home against Chippa. I'm bankering SuperSport United against TS Galaxy. I would love to take a banker, but I've gone West Brom, win and draw at Blackpool, even though I think Blackpool will give them a game. I'm going Kaizer Chiefs, win and draw at home against Maritzburg United. I'm going Arsenal to be too good at home for Newcastle United. Our second page sees me banker Barcelona to beat Granada. I'm going the field and the Brentford versus Middlesbrough fixture. I'm banking Sundowns to beat Baraka. I'm going the field in the Shikuma Madzi Cape Town City match and ending with Man United to be too good for Watford, 256. On to the Soccer 13. I'm bankering Man United to beat Watford, Arsenal to beat Newcastle, Southampton to beat Shrewsbury, and Leicester to beat Stoke City. I'm going Blackpool, win and draw at home against West Brom. I'm going Middlesbrough, win and draw at Brentford. I'm siding with my Preston boys to avoid defeat at Wycombe Wanderers. Our second page sees me throw the draw in with Fulham away at QPR. I'm going Burnley, win and draw at home against MK Dons. I'm going Bournemouth, win and draw at Oldham Athletic. I don't see Blackburn Rovers losing at home to Doncaster Rovers and ending up with two bankers, Sheffield United to beat Bristol Rovers and Huddersfield to beat Plymouth, 256. On to our Budgies bets for the weekend. Our FA Cup quad, I'm going Wolves to beat Crystal Palace. I'm going Sheffield United to beat Bristol Rovers. I'm going Huddersfield to beat Plymouth Argyle. And I'm going Everton to beat Rotherham by more than one goal. My win and draw fiver, I'm going Aston Villa to avoid defeat against Liverpool. I'm chancing Blackpool to win or draw at home against West Brom. I'm going for Coventry to avoid defeat against Norwich. I think Middlesbrough can upset Brentford. And I'm chancing Portsmouth to win or draw at Bristol City. 16-1, 3,200 to 200. Our both teams to score sides are Luton Reading, Blackpool West Brom, Blackburn Rovers Doncaster Rovers, Burnley MK Dons, and Stoke Leicester, 3,700 to 200. My team only goals bet is Aston Villa, Huddersfield and Sheffield United, all to score over 1.5 goals. And I'm going for Coventry to score at Norwich, 10-1, 2,000 to 200. Our PSL bet, and please just go and check the odds because this bet is legit. I took it yesterday afternoon. I'm going Mamelodi Sundowns to beat Baraka. I'm going SuperSport United to beat TS Galaxy. I'm going both teams to score in the Kaizer Chiefs Maritzburg and TTM Cape Town City matches, 4,500 to 200. And our Collis King, 6 or Nixa. I'm going Arsenal to beat Newcastle, Everton to beat Rotherham, Man United to beat Watford, Southampton to beat Shrewsbury, Mamelodi Sundowns to beat Baraka, and Atletico Madrid to beat Athletic Bilbao, 2,700 to 200. My best bet of the weekend, I'm going for Huddersfield Town. I went for them last week. They'd won 5 home league games and they beat Watford and Blackburn in 2 of those. They unfortunately lost to Reading, but playing at home against the Plymouth Argyle side, who have taken 1 point from their last 5 away league games and are in a lower league, I have to take 9 to 10 Huddersfield Town. Like Steve, my value bet has to be Aston Villa. I think they will play their best team, and 24 to 10 against the Liverpool side, who are out of form, have only won 1 of the last 8 away from home, and I'm expecting Klopp to field a young team. I think that's a great price. To everybody out there, have a safe and happy weekend, and please remember to stay on side.